traffic in women. On behalf of our sponsors and benefactors, the Communications Department, the English Department, and the Faculty Development Committee, we thank you for coming tonight. My name is Janet Lowery. I wrote the script. If you have any problems with it, please contact my department chair, Dr. Carrie MacArthur. It's a joke. If you have a cell phone or a camera or anything that could make us, or a watch that could make a noise, please turn it off when it's done. And remember to do so at the end of the 10 to 15 minute intermission that we'll have. There'll be a talk back, possibly if people want one, at the end of the show where the actresses and I will answer questions. And this play is dedicated to the memory of Dr. Janice Gordon-Kelter, the Dean of the MLA program, until her untimely passing in January. This is for you, Janice. Hit it, girls.
As in a slow dream,
we saw him as we swore we did.
he spoke in a low voice about grave matters.
And walked among us, if only for a moment.
Dressed in the most natural clothing.
Like a god, freshly reborn from the earth's round belly.
The sky shone lunar bright. He hung back from our circle, marking the edge of our group.
It was with the priestess he spoke.
One of our congregation.
A leader among us.
We behaved circumspectly.
We did not break rank and throng around him, nor beg him for a sign, a touch, a word. We felt he would stay with us forever.
We did not fret when we noticed he was gone.
He left no absence, no empty space behind.
Only a form like reason and hope.
Sewn into one cloth.
Seeds, vital, eternal.
Girls, girls, girls. Are y'all done yet? Is your worship service ended? Up here, girls. Is your worship service ended yet? Because I saw my cousin Dionysus, the god of your understanding, on yonder hill hanging out with the muses. Y'all better scamper over there and protect your territory. Word out, my world, is that any woman who worships a man, be it a god or mortal, is a slut. Perhaps an emotional slut may be a psychological sycophant, or one involved in the actual flesh trades. Whatever it is they're up to, be it orgy or worship circle, I dislike the maenads. They are not devotees of virginity. They're not chaste as ice and cold as the moon. They do not celebrate the celibate the way I do. You see, I am one of 3 virgin goddesses, Hestia, Athena, and me, Artemis/Diana, goddess of the hunt, midwifery, and feminine purity. Reputedly, I'm a lesbian. But in this day and age, what super hot godlike chick isn't a lesbian according to somebody? I do prefer the company of women, but the actual truth is, I'm painfully shy around men. But they feel the pain, not me. I like women who traipse through the forest and avoid the problems men cause. Childbearing, pregnancy, confinement. Have you ever tried to hunt while pregnant? But try talking sense into those maenads, the bacchantes. I think they must be on something. You know, fermented grape juice. But it could be worse. They could worship love and sex. They could be devotees of my nemesis, Aphrodite. Her and that son of hers, Eros or Cupid. Oh, his name even means love. It's disgusting. My brother Apollo and I used to be the only bow and arrow carrying deities until that punk arrived on the scene. With his poison darts flinging through the atmosphere, plunging God and mortal alike into states of doomed passion. But to avoid his poison tips, I hang out with my band of girls in the forest. But speaking of woods, there's a young man over yonder named Actaeon, asleep in my bower. Excuse me, while I have a heart talk with him. I dream of you, but if I ravish your youth, I offend my chastity, my code of ethics, betray not my nymphs, my wife. Spare your life, abandon the glades I rule. Fragile as a maid, you are but a city boy, almost a virgin. Fresh, mortal, rude, not to be trusted. Half child, half man, half bride. All I can do is ravish you with words as you sleep in this bower of time. Then ply your ears with virtuous lies regarding my dark celibacy. Indulge me, this apostrophe. Corrupted by frigidity, I am cruel as my brother, my rabid father. I am Lord Zeus, incarnated as his daughter. A virgin who feeds on the company of women. A girl who thinks she's a boy. A student of that other kind of lust. The venery of men and beasts. Heed this dreamy alarm. Arise and flee before I bring you to your knees. The gods, learn a thing or two from mingling with the likes of you. Restless hunter, resolve into the hunted kind. It is a refugee twist of a storyline. You saw me bathing naked with your voyeur's eye. For that, you'll sprout horns, deconstruct into the feral thing you once pursued. A rutting stag, a buck, down by dogs your father bred for killing you. Get up, fugitive boy. It's time to wave goodbye. It's time for dying. You live in deluded states of mind, though you've been warned 100 times. Succumb! Swoon. Suffer to change under the spell of a sapphic moon. Then run, pretty heart! My darts will bring you down with one cool shot.
Did you have to kill that guy? You heard the question. Did you have to have those dogs bring that boy down?
Who wants to know? Oh, that kid could have been somebody. He could have been a contender.
Yeah, he was cute. Give it a rest, goddess of bedroom modesty. Explain yourself, you half-witted waif.
He molested me with his eyes earlier, so I turned him into a hart, a stag, and his own dogs brought him down. Poetic justice.
More like poetic savagery.
You are one to talk. You did the same thing to a kid who saw you in the buck a while back. I read it in a periodical.
In a fairy tale, you mean? And I blinded him. I didn't have him knocked off. You hunt and kill for sport the way some men hunt women, or women hunt men.
She's right off. Very unladylike to kill.
Oh, grow up, girls, girls. So a guy sees you naked art, big deal.
I have never seen a naked male, so why should a male see me naked?
Hold the presses.
You've never seen a naked guy? How about a sculpture, some leaf?
I avert my eyes to danger.
What I don't know won't kill me.
Oh, you don't know what you're missing, honey. But your loss is my gain. More guys for me?
Another original thought from the brain went over there in the pink feathers. I, for one, admire the chaste demeanor of Artemis.
Because you hate competition.
Cover up, goddess of lust. We are in the bower of chaste Artemis, not the red light district in Amsterdam. There aren't any guys around here to cover you at the moment, so tuck yourself in, please.
Jealousy does not become you, Hera. Yet you become it more and more with each passing epoch.
You managed to play on words. A round of applause, please, for the queen of all things, venereal.
All right, girls. Cut the cat chat for an eternal second.
Why? So you can philosophize extemporaneously on how to weed, plot, plan, produce, govern, or defend someone, somewhere, somehow.
Are you reading from a script? I have never heard you pronounce that many words in a row without undressing. Do you actually understand the question you asked?
That was a rhetorical question.
What?
I'm taking a speed course in persuasion.
Why try to improve your mind, seashell bits for brains?
Everyone thinks I'm feeble-minded, and frankly, I resent it. The muses are offering some courses, and I thought I'd sign up for some of them. I've even written a poem about love, so you'll stop trivializing my passion. I'd like to recite it now, if no one objects.
I object.
On what grounds?
Love poetry is so cliche. It hurts my ears.
Overruled. It runs cool as mercury through the ducts of my breasts, up fantastical sinews, the fabulous musculature of my thighs, up through immense columns of milky bone. Love flows like nectar from heaven's flask, the lust for love and sex that makes the world go round, makes it round, round. I am a monumental feminine form. My ichor runs like black rum, plum wine, grape of ethereal vine. I stab notorious instincts that prick you, inflame your loins. It's kind of a trick I play. You long to die astride my silken bed. Thoughts shift, then quiver. Lie here with me. Desire inspires me. Passion is an ordained thing. My calves bunch, then lengthen. My haunches shudder. Bones liquefy. I stupefy with the vigor of convulsive comings. We shake, shiver. You might as well succumb. Every panted breath breaks open my wrists and knees, my shoulders and finger sockets. Out of my powerful arms, pinions flash, extend into ornamental white wings. Each joint electrifies fretted strings to come unstrung, throw stars, spark bolts of lightning into the precise center of God's universal mind. And thus, He celebrates all things with me. As I ignite, I die of flight. I defy the bone-crushing blight of insatiable pleasure.
You didn't write that. You couldn't have strung that many syllables together to save your immortal soul.
What's a syllable? And my immortal soul does not need saving, by the way.
Oh, you lucked out there.
Sometimes I only play dumb, Athena. Beauty and brains would be too much for you to handle. But I have to take a powder. I have a hot date. I mean, an important appointment.
Not the god of war again. Say it ain't so.
Perhaps I can distract him from carnage for a nanosecond. Not that carnage disturbs me. War creates a hotbed of lust. I rather enjoy it. But what business is it of yours if I meet with Mars? I mean, Aries. I mean, Mars.
You're married to my son, you unfaithful trollop.
That is right. Ow! You're my mother-in-law.
And you're my daughter-in-law.
Only on paper. You know my heart is pledged
To wander from man to man like a drunken goose in inebriated sow.
A stupefied donkey in heat.
Two of you are virgins. One of you might be queer. The third one can't even keep her own husband interested. And believe me, it It does not take much to keep that guy interested. Imagination and a feather worked for Semili, Leda, Dane, Io, Europa.
Have you no shame?
Nope, lucky me. I was born absent any negative emotion about myself.
How convenient. By the way, shameless wonder, I heard the three Graces were looking for you.
Oh, not those three fag hags again. What do we want this time?
I don't know. Another beauty pageant. Or a queen for a decade after our party. I don't know. I can't keep up with her master calendar of events.
Oh, true. It looks like a war room at the Opera Guild.
They're so annoying. Those three virgins, so entangled and intertwined, always brimming with bright ideas for arts and crafts classes so that a few women can learn how to glaze a saucer or decoupage a lampshade.
Oh, they speak highly of you, too.
But they're so exhausting. And it's all just a way to sublimate passion in order to create a most beautiful world, which plagues me. People should be falling in love and plundering each other's inner depths in the name of sexual sport and carnal knowledge. Sometimes I wish those three Graces would take a long walk off a short pier.
They're hoping to beat you out as beauty queens for the 7th straight century.
It takes 3 of them, judged as one contestant, to beat me, though. They sweep the talent competition with interpreting dances. I have complained to Zeus, and he said he'd judge the competition next time. I should have no problems.
Smooth.
Which? The 3 Graces sometimes detract a man's attention away from me. Moi, the goddess of beauty and love. Some guys out there actually like women who play hard to get. Isn't that so gay? It's the challenge, according to the book, let me think, Virgins, Aloof Goddesses, and the guys who pursue them. I want to attract all those gorgeous men back to me, so I'm taking a psychology course. Isn't that just so cool?
Fascinating. I'd love to hear more, but I'm sure that Ares is looking for you. Oh, was it Mars?
Yeah, be gone, lascivious wench.
With pleasure, frigid sister of Apollo and manly Athena. Adios to you too, cow-eyed wife of Zeus. Just remember, I will be back.
She's off to mess with Wall's head again, or set her son's arrows loose on a wretched Malta who's taken a vow of chastity. Look what she had Eros' arrows do. That's hard to say. To Pasiphae, Phaedra, Lord Hades, poor fools.
You've ruined a few lives yourself, kiddo. You tricked Semele into a fiery demise, tormented Heracles, and the list goes on. If only we had more time.
All right. The reports are true. I am a bitch. But I don't like to suffer, and suffer's what I do up there in the cloudy palaces of the gods, suspended like a dream, a froth, a drama queen, overthrown from her husband's bed. I act out the rage and bitter insult of being wife to Zeus, god who takes the form of beast to seduce nymphs, dryads, nereids, oreads, mortals. My mate sates sexual appetites and romps made famous by blind poets, lonesome hacks, Orphic lyricists, troubadours, painters, sculptors, show no sympathy for me. No bard praises me, draws tears from my grief. No one pities or exalts me except a few forlorn abandoned wives, a few chaste priestesses at my vacant temples. And even they turn suspect when my husband visits them, falls for one, hides her form in the hide of a cow. Still, I am called cow-eyed goddess, white-armed goddess, old gal, old cow of a goddess. I admit it. I sometimes feel beaten by the yoke of what should be. Yet, I rally from my morbid, caustic mood to exact revenge on one more girl. Burn one more bitch who bewitches my ruler, husband, lover, brother Zeus.
I did not know you could write confessional poetry.
Humorous.
Hey, I read a poem, you read a poem, Aphrodite read a poem. You should read one too, Athena. It'll be like a poetry slam.
Yeah, dude, and like, you lost. So pack your bows and arrows and go kill something already.
You're afraid that I'll beat you. That's all right. I can take a hint. I'm tired of all the language around here anyway. I feel like hunting a wild boar. Or a doe. A deer. A female deer. I'll catch you chicks on the flip side.
Later, Gator.
Oh, Jiminy Crickets, we gotta blow this taco stand. The three Graces are headed this way. In no time, they'll have us trapped at a square dance festival. Wait. Those aren't the Graces. Those are the three Furies. Dressed as the kindly ones, the Eumenides.
Oh dear, bread and beer, trouble's coming. They're never in a good mood. I'm out of here. Ta-ta, stepchild.
Oh, peace out, homie. Give my love to Daddy. Ladies. What interesting costumes. No, don't tell me. You're vampires.
You mean, what are our new code identities? I'm Emma Peel from The Avenger.
Uma Thurman from Kill Bill.
The one lady from Kung Fu Hustle.
And how is the awards verification gig going?
Funny you should ask.
Really, really funny.
I'm splitting like a gut.
You know, Athena, we've been looking for you.
For 3 days.
Yeah, but you went missing coincidentally 3 days ago.
You went up to Mount Olympus,
That's right.
Mount Parnassus,
You betcha.
the Pantheon?
Twice.
Oh, we must have just missed each other.
We got something on our minds, gray-eyed goddess.
They're Hazel! Why can't anyone get that straight?
Hey, we're lodging the complaint here, not you.
Filing a formal grievance, as they say.
You see, we had a lot more fun in the old days before you robbed us of our powers during that trial of arrestees.
Roger, Pat, I simply persuaded you to rethink revenge and its tenuous link to justice.
As I was saying, we liked it better when we had the power to scare people straight.
Knock them right into next week.
Put the fear of God into them.
That was some fun. On the other hand, dishing out blessings to the good, that is one slow racket if we ever saw one.
We hand out a blessing to somebody, somebody else gets jealous and hurts the first somebody.
A neighbor gets envious and robs the very person we blessed of the very blessing we bestowed.
And can we get revenge on the dude who screwed us out of our favorite granting business in the first place?
Nope, because we made a promise to you.
We're not comfortable with the arrangement anymore, see?
Girls, rewarding the peacekeepers, the virtuous, the hospitable. What could be more fun?
Chafing my wrist to death with a plastic knife, that would be more fun.
Look, peace is a dirty word amongst the mortals. Giving alms? What's an alm and how do you spell it? Women are the natural do-gooders of the world, and a whole bunch of them get run over for it rather than respected, and we're sick of it.
Hey, it can't be real do-gooding if the do-gooder lets you know he's done good, you see? It's the little, nameless, unremembered acts of kindness and love performed by 61% of the female population and 39% of the male population that deserve to be rewarded, but hell, keeping track of all of that is the work of angels, not furies.
We're the ones that got the feminist movement in motion to give women equal pay for equal work. But there's sexual harassment now, there's psychological bullying. Plus women are expected to be compassionate and polite and taking up the keister with a smile at the workplace. We want to right those wrongs. Plus those 39 nice guys could use some backup.
Hey, look, keeping watch on kindness is a snooze.
You snooze, you lose. We miss the action of the old days. We're revenge artists.
Look, we want to release from our contracts.
Sign here, 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 here. I want you to initial over there and then sign that, review that. Here, and sign here. And we'll be out of here and back to our business. The slow, hard press of conscience, like a net of taut threads, a cap of tiny black gnats stings your brains.
The weight of lethargy, dread, remorse settles like a torpor, a mood heavy with regret.
To be modern is to refuse guilt, yet here it is.
Piled like a book of wet paper on your skull.
A pressure in your head.
A migraine's whip.
A torch. Conscience contains the word
Science. To feel bogged down.
Mentally ill.
Overcome with temporary.
Insanity compelled to shop, drug, sex, smoke, eat, then purge.
What is it but a distraction from guilt?
Visit doctors, analysts, gurus, shrinks.
Pop pills.
Chant Buddha's veiled name.
Repress more.
Eventually.
At the good priest's door.
You'll hit your knees and confess your sins.
Or die.
Or go insane.
We rake your souls. Our tiny silver nail pins destroy peace of mind.
You cannot escape the furies.
Without pity, we run you down.
And so,
Be wary.
Be afraid.
be discreet.
We sit in your head like buzzards.
Waiting to swallow your sanity.
Bit by bit.
We civilize your soul.
3 women.
Patient.
Unkind.
We chatter you out of your mind.
Spooky. Look, ladies, I love the catch the conscience of the king thing, and I love to put the fear of God into wrongdoers, but you can't reinstate revenge after a millennium of jurisprudence. I mean, what about the judges, the juries, the lawyers?
Judges can be bought.
Juries can be bought.
Lawyers, they can be bought and sold.
Revenge is so ancient and barbaric and disruptive. It's messy and bloody. And it's the opposite of the culture I established in Athens long ago on a little path I like to call Western civilization.
Get real.
Western civilization has been short of civilization from the get-go.
Rape, incest, murder, war, big 4, the eternal verities.
Can you stop circling me? You're making me dizzy and it makes me mad. Remember, I still command the thunderbolts of Zeus.
Ooh, we're scared.
What are you gonna do? Zing us to a star?
Electrocute our brains.
Turn us into a pack of hounds.
Wise guys.
Can't kill us. We're immortal.
You're all wise guys.
Hey, you love to help the righteous and innocent, and you need help. We can help. We learned from the dread queen of Hades, Persephone, that you like to compromise. Strike compromise with us, and if you refuse to negotiate, things could get rough.
I don't negotiate with
Terrifying characters like us.
Hey, look, Persephone is on our side. She plays dead when she has to, and until you release us from that ancient contract, we're gonna be clinging to you like a cheap suit.
Like a pit bull on Pekingese. We're your new sidekicks.
But I don't have any sidekicks. I've never had sidekicks.
Well, you do now. Let us be bad, or let us be mad at you. Get part of you like a cancerous tumor.
But you never gave being good much of a chance.
Only a couple of 1,000 years?
We'll give it another millennium and we'll call it even.
Look, we want out, and I for one ain't asking. I'm just giving you a heads up.
Let me think about it.
We brought back up in case you balked, and you're balking. You remember Clytemnestra, don't you? Wife and murderess of Agamemnon?
Oh, the name fills me with dread.
Mother of Iphigenia?
She's my least favorite mortal female.
And Electra and Orestes? Children who plotted her murder?
What are you up to? Staging a retrial of Orestes?
I think the first trial was rigged.
You're trying to exonerate his mother?
Jury selection by the goddess of wisdom with a predisposition towards men and a plan to end revenge? You love confessions, Athena. Let her rip, spectral queen of Mycenae.
for the good of war, for the sake of my husband's brother's whore, my twin Helen, to infect bloodlust in Attic warriors and placate the virgin goddess he'd offended. For these reasons, Agamemnon slit Iphigenia's throat before his navy of hot-headed boys. Why would a virgin goddess require a virgin sacrifice? Why did Agamemnon choose our favorite daughter, most royal girl, while Electra got off scot-free? Girl child, who always worked to disrupt me, who disrespected me, who suspected me of treason long before any venomous plot hatched inside of my heart. Why couldn't she be the one to die on the altar bed of her father's war? Agamemnon, husband, pig, bull, incontinent spouse, loose cannon of unchecked manhood, you met your match in me. I took a lover, your cousin, some say half-brother. I learned to justify murder. I revenged my daughter's death, task reserved by convention for men. I sank an axe into your neck, soaked my hands in hot blood, dipped my teeth in your heart. I became a soldier, a great warrior on the battleground of domestic warfare. Like a man, unnatural against the living, I pursued death. Now look, in books, I'm remembered with more quaking at the knees than the name of wrathful Achilles. And you, Athena, you knew Agamemnon killed my first husband and all the children from that marriage before taking me as his war bride. I had reason to avenge my daughter's death, and still you refused to back me against Orestes, son who dared raise a blade against his mother. I bared the breast that suckled him. I exposed the heart that found the courage to kill a king that took the life of his own girl child. And what did you do? O goddess of wisdom. I defended the rights of children, of mothers, to protect their offspring against brutality, and you, goddess of wisdom, when Orestes stuck a knife into my heart and these beautiful avengers drove him to the brink of insane guilt, you cast the vote that exonerated him. How is that just? A man avenging the death of his daughter's murderer is a hero. A woman who does the same thing is a horror. You, Athena, should stand trial for creating the great cultural shift that robbed women of their innate right to protect the young. I am remembered as manly by poets, but you're a virgin who protects the power of men who are flat out strange. Curses, foiled again. What are you doing here?
Twisting the lie enclosed in every word you say until the truth is squeezed out.
That you were obsessed with your father, that you loved his power and craved it for your own, that you were infatuated with him?
You spurned his attentions. I filled in. Our love was natural and noble.
That's a joke. I saw the way he eyed your flesh. You were next in a long line of women and girls he took to his bed on a whim, no matter what the kith or kin.
Jealous, mother? That he preferred me to you? What about the way you doted on Orestes, your only son, and Iphigenia while ignoring me? And why? Because she looked like you and I looked like him? How trite. And then there's the problem of taking as your lover your husband's cousin, his sworn enemy. Militant girls, listen up! I took contempt for my mother, buried it like a snakehead deep in the tangled groin of my red heart. And swift it grew, a thick serpent's tongue spilling venom into my suicidal veins. I nursed rage as a baby at my breast. I forgot to eat, bathe, dress, undress, sleep. I wandered the tombs of mist, stood restless before night's black moon, saw madness flare, beat wind into a funnel that consumed me, spun me to shreds, made me the eye of its storm. Knots of wrinkled hair I did not comb. Pleats of braided hair I razored straight from roots to bone. My skull gleamed white. Into wild fits I swooned. My father's crypt had a carved grate down which I longed to slip. But to succumb to grief was forbidden by the queen of the house of Atreus, as if she curbed her own excesses. Mother slit the man's heart who slit her favorite daughter's throat. So, her least favored daughter helped arrange to off the woman that killed my father. Who's to say I'm not Clytemnestra's child? I say it each day. She is not my mother. She cannot be my mother. Defiled at birth, poisoned by the taste of milk soured at my mother's pap. I am my father's child bride, born of his blood, a girl that flowered from Agamemnon's loins. More like him than her, I carry imprints of his royal line in my fingertips. My hands a smaller cast of his, my eyes a lighter tint. My gestures imitate his manner, while she functioned years ago as legal whore, a go-between between my father and me, carrier of the seed that bloomed into Electra. I can't stand her criminal acts. I won't bleed like women do until she's gone. Until to be a woman means to be unlike the one inside whose flesh my wretched body was conceived, impressed, consumed, spit out, compromised, duped.
All you ever do is whine against me and ignore the murderous, adulterous wrongs of your father.
You killed my father.
He killed your sister.
Well, why did you have to kill Cassandra? Why couldn't she live?
Okay. Okay. I got carried away, but she was another insult that I was full of the avenging spirit of the Furies. These kindly women I came to testify for before you banged open the doors of hell and started spitting blame. I'm headed back to Hades. Time to give Persephone a full report. Time for hell to freeze over.
Behold! If you deny it. Go ahead, girl. Set the record straight. Speak you a speech.
As toward a stage door, I approached the altar, then slipped past spilt blood at my throat slit. Ripened on the spot, blurred to a vapor, a mist, I disappeared into the clouds conjured by the goddess of hunt. She who will not be slighted or denied, the girl who exacts a stern revenge. Immortal maid my father failed to please. Marriage to Achilles was the bait set. In robes of saffron, I rehearsed my vows. At the altar, Agamemnon shut his eyes. 5 soldiers pulled my mother down. I knelt and bared my breast to 30,000 men. Blood sacrifice to the ditch of black war. I heard them taunt. I heard them sneer and rant. If she's old enough to bleed, she's old enough to butcher. The rude, dark excuse of boys. Forgive them. I died at a strange wedding table. I smashed through the slow air to light. I transubstantiated from mortal to divide, not because of my father, not because of circumstance, but because I am the one. My name means power, might, strong born. On a marble bed, I cheated fate. Tossed back my head, I bled ecstatic in grief, freed by the knife's sacramental swipe. Act nobly, die freely. In the afterlife, you'll find a profound absence of strife.
By the way, kids, Iphigenia did not die. She was sacrificed at my table. The actual deal was this. Her father neglected a sacrifice to me before the war because he didn't think that I had the power to alter the outcome. Me, being such a refined slip of a thing. But he was wrong. I set the trap for Agamemnon so that if he wanted the war to happen, he had to be willing to sacrifice his firstborn virgin girl to me. He had to set the wheels of family revenge back in motion. If not, deal off, case closed, war ended before it began. Happy endings for all. It was the ideal moment for Agamemnon to think about whether or not, Helen, you'll get your turn, half-breed. Whether or not this shiksa over here should cost him his own daughter's life. Whether the basic, well-born slut was worth the price of his own flesh and blood. Because he wanted the spoils of war, he went ahead and had her offed. Not the decision I expected, but one I reasoned he'd pay for eventually, and probably at the hands of his mighty wife, Clytemnestra. So, 10 years later, she killed the man who was responsible for the death of most of his family, the Trojan heroes, the Greek heroes, the Trojan race. His murder is what I call justice. But Iphigenia did not die at her sacrifice. In the last moment, I sucked her away in the mist. She became immortal. And you little brat, you don't see your sister because she's in the Elysian fields. But you do see your father often enough in the netherworld, don't you?
Death days, high holidays.
Then quit your infernal complaining. Freud named the stage of female development on you. We all remember the Oedipus complex, but nobody remembers the Electra complex. All right, ultimate dysfunctional family. I can't hold Helen off much longer. You better go ahead and make your exit before her scene stealing begins. Cassandra deserves the last word, but nobody ever listens to her. So we're just gonna have to suffer Helen's cats.
To ravish my mother, Zeus took the features of a swan. From an eggshell, my fate was hatched for bed and blood at the intersection where my father's will slammed against the brick wall. The age of heroes had to end. How better kill them off than during a war over his only mortal daughter? Conceived for the sake of strife, I sparked the 10 years' war. My face and form resplendent with light, I shimmered incandescent in the night. My skin rippled like silk sewn in heaven. And so I devised the second marriage. I seduced the most beautiful boy on earth. Water, light, fat, joy, brilliance, color, flash. God is composed of these facts. So what if I gloried as each soldier ate the earth at my feet? Into a book of epic description, I insisted Homer list the names of the dead, the cracks point of fatal wounds. Spear through the nipple, puncture through the chin, cheek, temple. The kiss of metal guts men, renders a hero's flesh feminine in that bloody bed. Shall I admit I wanted to rid the earth of every pretty girl? Shorn hair, torn cheeks, women in grief are enamored with sorrow, in love with death. When Paris fell, I did not weep. I married his brother atop our sheets. Since then, what war has violated so many men? Discretion reeks of mortality. To kill me, slave girls hung me from the Helen tree. Men are fools, but girls are silly. Even in death, I win. Loose to roam Elysian fields, I am adored by Prince Achilles, sanctified by history, the mystery of my birth. I am myth made real through paintings, plays, epic verse. Who's to say I am not the genius of havoc on earth?
A word? You called. Have you noticed the Furies over there in the corner smoking cigarettes and plotting something twisted? Relax, Athena. They're planning a party. What kind of party? A victory celebration. A renaissance of revenge party. Every Olympian is invited. Even you. It took them a while, but they finally realized you duped them. I never duped them. They're conservative politically. They want to go back in time. So let them. The court system is a travesty of a mockery of a sham these days. But innocent people could go down, and that is not good. Innocent people go down every day. I run the stats on violent crimes against women and children, not to mention innocent people caught on death row. Anthony Graves. I'll send the stats your way. It will shock and awe. Why can't women just take up arms against a sea of troubles if my opposing end them? That's what I do. That's what you do. You know what's good for you. You'll return the powers of revenge to the Furies. That can't be a threat. We all know you're partial to the mortals, Athena, but no one knows why. Me? I prefer the Furies, especially since their new makeovers. Square yourself with revenge, Athena. Then come on down to the party for some barley water. V for Vendetta is making a comeback. At least, that is according to the forecast by the civils. Ciao, Bella. Am I being outmaneuvered by the Furies? Can I be wrong? Oh, that's just crazy talk. Who can I consult on this? Think, woman, think! Not Demeter, not Psyche, but Circe. Yes! Circe's reformed herself. She's running reality shows and sitcoms. Desperate Greek Housewives, My Big Fat Tragic Greek Wedding, Olympian Poker. Oh, and that new show, Queen for a Decade. Maybe she could help me persuade the Furies to chill out. Don't listen to her. She used to turn men into swine. Plus, she's just as noir and nightmare as the Furies, always dressed in black, a regular Hamlet without the melancholy. Or maybe I should try to persuade them again. I should recite my poem to them. How does it go? A woman who is not... No. A goddess who is not vain. A woman who does not plot or plan to spoil a man, outdo a rival in hair or jewel or blessing. A goddess who restores harmony, protects or defends the innocents during epics of war or political repression,
fascism, oppression of the poor, the unarmed. A goddess who, above all else, is cunning, wily, and wise in service to the worthy and the just. That is my definition of the most fair. The fairest. And yet, I watched the apple go to the other girl. The ruthless goddess, the one dressed in pink and red and vermilion, the one who trained Helen to eat men, the nasty girl, the sexy goddess. I watched the word fair get twisted beyond repair as brother after brother tasted the dirt and the dust and the pitch of war moments before sailing down to the house of death. And all for the sake of Helen's glory and the glory of the goddess of love. Was that fair? 1,000 times I tried to end that conflict, but as long as the industry of death waged on, Hector had to die. And today, conflicts flare in Iraq, in the Sudan, on the streets of Paris. And the human spirit refuses to study the discipline necessary to keep the killing machines from killing. Is that fair?
I can help, Athena. I know the flip side of revenge. The cut of Clytemnestra's knife. I was a Sibyl of Troy, cursed by Apollo because I said no to him. His revenge caused my prophecies to sound like gibberish. I kept warning my brother Hector Troy would fall, but he laughed. From that point on, there was only cruelty. Not the hushed voice of a lover repeating my name in reverent tones. Not the deference reserved for the clairvoyant twin, the respected daughter of a king. Word was out. I was branded the recently ravished, the one who said yes then changed her mind, the one who said come and at the last minute intoned the irrevocable no. From that point on, sleep erupted into conflagration, gossip, rumor, sweat, and the sophisticated elocutions of the religious bully rang like temple bells. It was Apollonian, cold and smug, ionic. It sounded like a nervous breakdown inside my blood. A swarm of lies buzzed like the hiss of black flies, bubonic fleas, like vanity and revenge sweeping the court in vagrant alphabets. Because from that point on, there was only spite, disguised as spectacular silence that broke the heart of speech. No more tenderness. The courtesy once paid a dear friend dissolved into the extravagant guile of a punishing monster. And then the Chian ships split the middle sea in half. Ambassadors banged the gates. Foreign words scratched in code demanded Helen back. There were drunken pacts and armed sieges, campaigns of strife and theaters of war. A field of soldiers camped outside the city, women and boys packed from bed to bed like whores. Sons ransomed. Daughters debased. And each night, I recited stories to the palace walls, stood alone like an oracle consulted by faraway moons to forecast lunar news, prophesy storms, spell statistics out on vacant porticos thronged with outcast light from deranged stars. In backroom hostels, I stuttered confessions. And always at the center of war reports, my blind mouth howled warnings. Don't squander religious instructions to save your brothers engorged with pride. To watch a prince die from a distant wall is impossible to describe. That boy who once played tag with you, broken, disemboweled, gutted. After the 20th brother went down outside the city's walls, I found distorted relief in tragedy. My poetry turned black as it hit the dirt. My lips boiled red. I became trumpeter for that Spartan witch that I despised, her advanced press body count town crier. Because from that point on, I marveled at signal fires burning the plains. I counted corpses piled like sticks of tinder. Over a ditch of decaying corpses in the flat bed of truth, I surrendered my irrepressible longings for wisdom, my love of solitude. Farewell to light and laughter, to ease and plenitude, and hello to fatality, finality, fatalistic bedclothes. I pushed my pen deep into the litany of wounds, stabbed with 100 words what was already dead. For each day I escaped death inside the temple, I begged a fitting humiliation. When the sanctuary fell, I was raped on the altar, dragged out amidst jeers and insults. My consecrated head bumped down each step like a melon, bounced to spill its seeds into a pool of blood. The indignity of death came in a foreign town. I saw its rogue approach, too hysterical, too ironic and unkind to matter. I carried the message, wrenched my hands free of guilt years ago, but centuries from now, what else is there to do but suffer? My splendid brothers squandered the wealth of 20 cities, drowned the palace in ash, ground columns to marble dust. They failed to treasure the spice gardens, the citrus orchards. They forgot to remember their sisters, their wives, their daughters. They burned an empire for love of shame, searched out a place to die on page after page of prophecy, famously, beautifully, tragically, stupidly, the way children pretend to die in a game of war. But I longed to cut words in half and bury them, delude memory as memory deluded them, describe in poetry a heaven of lapsed time, resurrect a city drenched by flames. I longed to live like a hero, like a printed symbol, a character bound in ropes of ink, skipped like a message across oceans of ancient books.
Likes me. I read it in a book. Everything's sunny, everyone's amused, then there's a leak to the press. I turn men to swine. So what? Nose they sniff with flattens, orbs they lust from squint in, face they feed fattens round, joint they rut with forks the ground. Snouts, lines, circles, sticks. These shapes amuse the child of Helios, queen of metamorphosis, sorceress genius of jokes played for revenge on Argive men who burned Troy down, who raped and enslaved Troy's women. Yet, complaints come rolling in from the underground. What good is mercy from kind women? Who worships the compassionate virgin except in lip service at the altar of sibilant priests? Odysseus had secret guidance from Hermes. I myself was generous with O. I would have fashioned from him a god of husbandry. But no, I gave birth to a son. The one who tracked him down at the end of the story rarely told. The son who killed Ithaca's king with the stone. No one likes me. But I'm divine. I'm refined by intelligence, beauty, cruelty, time. Condemn me or revere me. Study me, contemplate the bestial forms I find inside the crude minds men try to hide from womankind, until one such as I penetrates the disguise, transforms rude flesh to match crude inner truth, a brutal fact you deny or satisfy in beds you have to buy. If sexual conquest is the game you men say it is, be prepared to lose this: your mind, your wife, your shot at what's divine inside you. It's apt price to pay for one coy kiss from Circe's lips, one sip from my cup of stirred wines and grains, one slip from the grip of matrimonial chains. So, I slept with Odysseus for a year. I'm a homewrecker, a pioneer in the eternal tribe of desperate wandering housewives. I rebelled against convention, claimed an island, formed a franchise of potions and wines, made a fortune, then said goodbye to low life in the fast lane. I reinvented myself as a producer of reality shows and sitcoms about women, to the delight of millions. Everything I do turns to gold. Can I get a cup of coffee from somebody back there? Showtime in a couple of hours. I need a heavy injection of caffeine. I think Bewitched Again is coming right up, followed by an episode of, no, it's Sunday. Sunday is Queen for a Decade Day.
1 cup of joe for the little lady with a hangover.
Athena, what are you doing here? I mean, thanks. Have a seat. Have a smoke.
Is it wise to smoke?
Only if you're immortal. And you're immortal.
Don't remind me.
You must be in a jam. El problema está?
3 words. The Furies.
That's 2 words.
2 words, 3 women, 1 problem. Revenge is sweet for the sisters. It erupts into their spontaneous desire to hit someone in the knees with a baseball bat. They want their positions back as hellhounds, but only I can release them from their old contract. I've got some time to think about it before
the muscle kicks in?
Right.
Can't you take them in a fair fight, Athena? I mean, what's their threat?
The gates of hell will spring open. Time will stand still. The earth's gravitational spin will reverse. Blah, 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 that kind of thing. Mainly, they said something about being my new sidekicks. Whither I go, they will follow. That's a scary proposition.
You've talked to Persephone?
She's on their side. Plus, I can't go to hell, and she's there till May.
So, how can I help?
I heard your stage space serves as an antechamber to Hades.
That's right. And to heaven, Mount Olympus, the Elysian Fields, even Tartarus. Stage space is just to the left and right of the afterlife in general.
And you bring women the likes of Medea and Phaedra back for your programs, right?
Sure. There's lots of money in pathos these days. What sparked your interest?
I guess I'm out of touch with the plight of women. That's the scuttlebutt in the halls of academia. I'm blamed for all kinds of problems because Zeus ate my mother, gestated me in his brain, and bore me fully formed from a crack in his skull. I'm considered supernaturally distant, deficient, and dysfunctional. I don't agree, but...
It's because of the trial of Orestes.
I know. Anyway, based on the stats, a heroine is needed on the streets about every 7 seconds or so. Those cartoon characters in films and comics, they're fun. Wonder Woman, Invisible Girl, Storm. But the Furies, they're unstoppable. They travel with the speed of the wind. They're omniscient and omnipresent to wrongdoers. That's 2 of the 3 powers of God. Plus, they're immortal, so they can't be bumped off. And they're reliable. They can work individually or as a team. Do you think that I should put them back into commission?
Bring them on. I'm partial to instant karma, but maybe you should consult the tarot.
Where's the logic in that?
How about a hand of poker?
Oh, heavens no.
Blackjack?
Hell no.
War?
Normally I would, but...
Spit?
You're on.
Why did you side with Orestes against his mother anyways?
I wasn't born of woman, remember?
So you are a betrayer of your kind. The feminist academicians are right.
They're half right, half wrong.
Do you always have to strike the middle note? You're so balanced, Athena. It's annoying, but ready to get your Olympian tuchus kicked?
As if.
You're dancing around the question, Athena. Why did you side with Orestes?
I had to back him if I wanted to end the Furies regime as Avengers. It was a timing thing.
But you backed a man against a woman. You turned the 3 Furies into the 3 Stooges.
Not. But snake hair, bloody eyes, gashed cheeks, they were terrifying and ugly. I had to shut them down for the sake of peace. War, divorce, genocide, homicide, suicide, racial cleansing, gang wars. One act of revenge begets another, which begets another. Where does it all end?
It doesn't.
I thought that I'd get some street cred by putting the Furies out to pasture.
You always bail heroes out of trouble, but you never stick up for girls the way the Furies do. You need to get on board with the sisters.
I thought that mortals would lose interest in bloodlust if we dropped the industry of revenge. But revenge is making a theoretical comeback. Have you noticed? When will mortals learn to turn the other cheek?
Never. But better to light one candle than to curse the darkness.
Hope springs eternal in my tin heart. Forgiveness should have caught on by now, but it's almost impossible for mortals, and it's a nightmare for the Furies.
They could be persuaded to compromise on revenge. Sit.
You turned men acting like swine into pigs. Did it work for you?
Ask yourself the same question, genius. You turned Arachne into a spider for revenge after she beat you out in a weaving competition.
Who said she won?
You did. Not with words, with actions.
What actions?
Who turns a rival into a spider? Spit. It was revenge. That's what everyone figured.
She lost fair and square. It was bad form for her to challenge me anyway. Punishment for audacity is hardly revenge. She was a great artist, so I made her immortal. There's a little bit of Arachne's obsessed soul in every single spider born.
But spiders are ugly. You made her ugly, Athena.
As a mortal, she was cross-eyed and hunchback. She had crimped fingers and knobby knees. Besides, spiders aren't ugly to lepidopterists. Their webs are beautiful. They kill and eat disease-infested mosquitoes. I made her immortal, helpful, somewhat scary, but a maker of beautiful nets using juice that she spits. I like useful beings. Bunnies, beavers, bees, spiders, silkworms, and storks. They're so industrious. Besides, not every female in a jam can be turned into a laurel tree like Daphne.
My bones churn to sap inside the sap of my flesh. My fingertips break into twigs. My joints rupture into sprigs of laurel leaves. The smooth skin coarsens, contorts into bark. My feet freeze in stunned heat. Each tarsal bone fractures, pleats into thin, tuberous roots, planted in the earth of my rebirth as a lyrical tree. And so I die, though I'm immortal. I cry, though I'm a nymph. I try to fly, though I'm wingless. Too young for breeding, too frail for sport. I plead, I pray to the lusty god to stop. I die in flight because I am a girl. Disdainful of sex, I turn to my father. I weep, and he charms me into a tree, so pretty, that will live forever in poetry.
Or transformed into an echo, like Echo.
Why from afar must I stare at Narcissus? Why scorch my throat with thirst, torture my lips as his lips ripen to a flower I cannot kiss? Why furk out my eyes, tear strands of my hair by tender root, as he flirts with nymphs across the glade, stares at a pool of water, and ignores these, my repeated pleas? Whose revenge is this? Why have I been chosen to watch him? Why can't I look away, distract myself with past lovers, abstract my lust into the subject of gossip I nurse? My cousins claim the call was made based off of Hera's wish, but love's instructions say this: Narcissus' face must reign as muse of songs I write, despite the pain inflicted by my study of his vain perfection, so milky smooth. I pity me my losses as I drink the silk of his skin, as I disperse into syllable, sound, echo.
Or changed into a constellation like Andromeda.
This, and this, and this. Briny wave, lash of foam and bracken, gray-green, God-forsaken sea, swollen ocean. Which wave will be the one? Which white-capped spill will spout the snout, the mouth, the rows of teeth,
Little knives that grind flesh to shreds of cabbage stained red. His cheek, lip, hand, foot, shred of hair I thought were mine will fade from memories trapped in earth's strange heart. How can it be that I'll be gone from this rock, dragged from chains and chewed apart by a monster seeking virginal flesh? Will I feel my finger, heart, crunched brain bones swallowed whole, digested, disintegrated? Will I shake and scream in fear? Or will I faint and pass intact into oblivion? Is this about surrendering to fate? Or fighting to the bitter end? Is this my mother's fault? What does that matter? Treachery, death, despair. I'm the final constellation of female sacrifice. I'll disappear before I die. I'll mingle fear with rock, sea, air, a salty nightmare.
Or morphed into a man, like Sadus.
When I fought them, I became one of them. I put on the helmet, gripped the shield, slipped on the greaves and boots, lifted up the coat of mail and pulled it over my vanquished breasts. When I fought them, I became one of them. Woman who is man, Amazonian. Under heft of armor, weight of warrior's gear, I fired arrow, blade, spear. I spurned arrow, blade, spear with the metal of my crushed chest, my impenetrable flesh, the skin of a man who is not genteel, feminine, pretty, or nice. I cursed and sweat, sparred and jabbed, fell so far from grace my soul charred, rusted, and I despised myself, but it was no use. I was compelled to fight. At a wedding banquet, centaurs divined how to kill a man who was a girl raped by a god, who granted her the wish to be a man in thanks for the pleasure he took from her virgin vein. A man you'll be, he decreed to me, whose flesh will grant no weapons point of entry during war. Smothered to death beneath the ground, I woke in a surreal realm of shock, returned to the maiden state I bore before, free of the memory of rape and war. Dressed in a smock of woven light, I see familiar scenes carved in rock, but disavow the claim a soldier sport gave my masculine name.
Sweet.
Or altered into a nightingale, like Philomel.
Open to you, winged bird, my opposite equal, always advancing. My sight looks past the light to shapes still drenched in outline. Lacking words, I lack knowledge. My body full of knowing, my death facing forward, my flesh facing outward into mood and solitude. One death behind, ravaged from my hands, the other looming ahead, a forest of nights lush with hawthorn, myrtle, rose. I surrender my form, silent lips, wet eyes. I open at the spine, release each round knuckle, tooth of bone, disc and vertebrae. I shiver beyond wingspan of song. How long have I studied that which limits the experience of the infinite? I unsophisticate myself. Alert to waves of swelling winds, my ears awaits instruction. My skin strains to fly ahead. My speech halts in a bath of blood. I stitch you with trembling fingers. I become you, bird, dream of flying. Leaning back as in a spasm, as in a paroxysm, a seizure. I cast dyes across the skies of cloth, embroider tiny beds of flowers into flower beds desecrated. Sequence painted with neither thread nor needle. Patterns of speech unspoken, now spoken. My voice, my habit of girlish chatter, a memory of lies I refuse to repeat. The moons in heaven stir the stars into constellations, explanations, figures of speech, names. Tire and squeeze the heat of wonder out of youth, so desperate to exercise power and steal beauty. It galls them, it attracts and blinds them. They are so deficient, so infected by loss. Must we understand tyranny to survive it? From the world onto a page of tapestry. But is it this, the moment of transformation, the drift, the shift toward wonder that causes me to surrender the notion that I own my own body? Is it the system of underground tunnels, the passageways of justice, suffering, prison, nooses, locks, that informs me of the necessity for wisdom? My human skeleton shivers into flight. My spine uncoils into pinions. My tongue perfumes the night with singing. I open outward with you, my sister, into the blue forever of story.
Spit. You've got a point, though I have forgotten what it was. But I'd still like to hear Arachne's side of the story.
You're such a pain in the neck, Circe.
Because it still sounds like revenge to me. I mean, didn't it float your boat to see that girl dangling by a thread of her own spit?
I take no pleasure in the suffering of mortals. In fact, suffering mystifies me. I don't understand it.
Talk to my niece, Medea. If you want the lowdown on suffering and revenge. She'll be here in a minute for an episode of Queen for a Decade. She's the consummate revenge freak.
Yeah, she killed her kids for revenge. She's messed up.
She couldn't lose to anyone but herself. Ever. And everybody's got to lose sometime. Even you, Athena.
Sure, everybody's got to lose, but nobody's got to like it.
Truth be told, spit. End game.
Rats. How much time before Medea gets here?
She'll be along with the others in about the time it would take me to beat you again. Twice.
Bring it on.
Care to make it interesting?
How so?
If I win, the Furies are reinstated as revenge freaks. If you win, you get to whine about it a while longer before capitulating.
Are you in cahoots with the Furies?
Live a little. Let the fates decide the fate of the Furies. That's how cards work, you know. The fates rule.
So there's no skill involved in cards. You can't outwit the hand you're dealt.
Sure you can. Let's see you do it.
Only a man would gamble on the fate of the Furies. I use logic to solve problems, not chance.
The Furies are way beyond logic. They're old as dirt, Athena, and they've been coached by Persephone and Hecate.
Sweet. My two favorite deities from the underworld are training the Furies to battle my wits.
You threw them off the scent the first time around. That, hung jury trick won't work a second time. Plus, none of the Olympians are convinced your legal system works anyway. Spit?
Too late. The women approach.
They're early.
What's the goal of your frickin' little program anyway?
It's based on a 50s television game show. Back then, the audience voted the most pitiable female contestant queen for a day. 3 or 4 housewives would stand before a live audience and tell their pitiful stories. Stories like how her husband died in a chemical plant explosion, and now she's raising their 6 kids all alone, 2 of whom need braces, another has some congenital defect or another and faces an unfortunate future. She just lost her night job and blah, 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 blah. Then the host asks the next contestant to begin her pity party, and she tells how her husband got laid off after he fell off the roof of their house because he's now paralyzed from the waist down. Semicolon. The house got hit by a hurricane 2 weeks later. Their 3rd kid got hit by a car and needs expensive surgery, yada, yada, yada. Each story just gets worse and worse.
It was considered entertainment?
It was their version of Survivor. One contestant later, the audience has to vote by applause for the most tragic woman. A dial appears on the screen that the audience controls by clapping, and then one woman is awarded queen for a day. They give her a washer and a dryer and a vacuum cleaner and a brand new car. It was a hoot.
How droll.
I updated the format. We bring out a lineup of tragic female characters from our mythological treasure trove. They tell their stories, and one is chosen queen for a decade. But here's the kicker. The winner is on Earth among mortals. Isn't there a singer or a playwright or a novelist to write about our queen? Sometimes we hit the jackpot, as in the case when Dido won, and that singer with the same name spread her fame to a whole new generation. A whole new generation of kids who sit around going, wow, about the Greeks. It's very lucrative. The ratings are off the charts.
Where are the cameras?
Yo, Outcastess, what's up, my sister?
Is this my space?
That's it. And action.
It did not kill me to die. It did not hurt me to pass into the next world. On our wedding night, Death's herald beckoned. He tapped my husband's shoulder and said, "Your appointed journey is at hand." From Admetus's mouth, a rush of pleas erupted. Why him? Why now? He, a friend of Apollo's, on this, his wedding night. Could there be no substitute? The god nodded. If a suitable volunteer steps forward. His smooth hands outstretched, Admetus with pleading eyes, first one and the other. Royal cousin, blood brothers, each shrank back from the task. Wind gusts swept roses across polished floors and past the banquet hall's immense blown-open doors. The rooms of golden light grew cold and dark and still as a mausoleum. From out the shadows, I stepped in my wedding shroud. Up to the messenger, I walked and offered my wrist. Hushed groans of despair and relief gushed from my husband's throat. Yes, point. I'm able to feel right. Willing to, but it did not strike me as a bad. Immortal now in the literature of mortal acts, I'm like Achilles in the race for fame. I chose to die young and earn an eternal name rather than live a long, charming, memorable existence. For women, what is married life but one small death following the heels of another? Night after night in marriage bed, year after year in childbed, eternal separation from home of youth, children lost to foreign wars or marriage contracts while we grow old and bitter, watching our husbands take on young lovers and flaunt flourish. Not for me. So what was this extraordinary cue except the answer to my prayers? At the altar, I confused fates with my husband. I transmuted into a noble man seeking immortality through adventure and he became the ineffectual maiden he thought he'd married. A vain, weak, selfish thing, well-born, well-mannered, connected. Instantly, my flesh burned to ice, my feet unhinged from earth, their vigor disremembering gravity's pull, and I shimmered. I shifted into afterlife perfectly composed. Molecular indifference unloosed ecstasies of joy, and I flew into infinite night. I fled my marriage bed on the arm of the messenger boy.
Nice job, honey.
May I depart, or shall I wait backstage for a decision?
No, we'll call you.
Oh, what? She's so balanced, well-adjusted. No one would pity her.
No kidding. She's way cool. We just needed another warm body. And she loves to volunteer, even if it is to be sacrificed. Fortunately for her, she can turn any situation into a win-win. She's got a beautiful mind.
Who's next?
Phaedra, with that hang dog look. She's been on 1,000,000 times, but never wins. Come on over here, Phaedra, and take your usual position. Try to explain yourself precisely this time, okay, kid?
Examine lust. It enters the eye, that blind dog, that lone wolf bred for venery and flesh hunger. It seeks to debauch until a prey is caught in desire's stiff crosshairs. By then, the huntress must be pulled off the kill before she's caught, tearing the young buck down into bits of entrails, brains, and furs, and the boy is consumed in a gulp. The mouth is the organ most distressed by a soul much distressed by Eros. But blame rests in the mind of my heart, the part plagued by memories of my brother, the Minotaur. I became my incontinent mother. I followed my bloodline down to the waterfront. I took the art of war into my bed and married the king of betrayal. I fell under the spell of his child by another wife, a son conceived in a lesbian's bed. A love dart struck the strange cavities and plush atriums of my once faithful breast, sent a vine of noxious pricks and thorns through the red plum. Insane with desire for the virgin, I became my history, a bull who gores a child. Lust is a gossiping hag. It spreads like a rumor. In a hidden courtyard, near fountains dripping jewels of water, I propositioned him, but he refused me. Cold prince. From the bed, he declined to visit. I hung myself. Signs scratched in stone named him my rapist. My suspended corpse pled witness. To convict him, I died. My husband spoke. The brood was broken. A tidal surge crashed his chariot, dragged his bones into eternity, erased imprints of my act from the record of mortal memory. Was that version more honest than the last?
Oh, sure, kid. That was my personal rendition. We'll let you know as soon as the votes come in.
Do you mind if I hang out backstage? I'm feeling a little lonely.
Sure, kid. Chill out in the green room.
You know, I never meant to be remembered as a rogue.
I know. I know.
Oh, okay. Well, later.
Peace out, kid.
No one likes her. I read it in a book.
That's my line.
Yeah, but I mean, really.
You know, it was a setup.
Oh, that's right, Aphrodite again. One of Cupid's arrows zonked her, and she fell in love with her stepson. Phaedra's a victim, pure and simple.
Victims victimize. One kicks down when from above one is kicked down.
Okay. So who's next among the contestants in your little mousetrap?
Eurydice, Orpheus's bride, bit by a snake on her wedding day. Orpheus went down to get her, but lost her on the way back up. After that little adventure, Orpheus took a left turn towards boys. Classic Brokeback Mountain. A sad tale all around, except for Eurydice. She liked being
Will you let her tell the story we all know by heart?
Jeez. Sorry, Athena. Speak, Eurydice.
One thing. He had to do one thing. But he couldn't do it. Not that one thing. Like a god, Orpheus entered the refuge of death, unable to bear my departure from his imagined world. I said nothing, gave no look, no warning. In a corner, wrapped in cotton, I sat like a corpse, while Orpheus fretted notes of lachrymose, manufactured a tapestry of lament to abstract me back from oblivion. Already nothing, I merely wrung my hands, moved by the mutilation of grief, the articulation of loss into song. Persephone wept to the Lord of abysses, he whose whole kingdom is arrested, whose subjects wander mute, dumb, detested. For her sake, Hades opened the gates of hell. For my sake, he gave the poet something to do that he could not do. Trust the will of fate. The heralds of death accompanied us. A trail of bandages unraveled along the path my feet traveled on. Orpheus labored ahead, paused to listen for a hint, a clue, that my ascent toward that gold star, the bright, the awful sun, was true. Each step shuffled without weight or cue, muffled to a silence that cut his confidence in two. To find my eyes, jet black stones set in the grave cloth of my death mask, he turned. I died twice. She's a child of God.
An angel.
A delicate flower.
A cloud of perfume.
Who's next?
Prepare yourself.
I'm prepared. Who's coming?
Pasiphae.
Oh, say it ain't so.
It ain't so, I'm messing with you. Think of me as a Greek chorus gone wrong.
And think of me as the goddess of war. Now put that little thing away, bitch. You know I'm an Olympian.
You always have to win, don't you?
I let you beat me at spit.
As if.
So, who votes? Surely not these people.
I decide.
You?
I pick the winner.
But they think they win by some kind of popular vote.
I say that, then I just make a decision, create a false statistic.
What do you base your decision on?
When?
Isn't that deception?
Yep. Isn't it rich? Don't you approve? Me out of sight in the wings, they who can't move. Oh, don't you frown, send in the clowns. Crisis in the sound studio. I'll send in the next contestant.
Who?
Medea.
Oh, sheesh. I forgot she's the very one I came to see.
That pinched scab. Red heart's crab smack dab in the midst of my sternum. Redstone burning the pale cinder of my chest. I could pluck it out with my fingers if I were a better alchemist. And that gleaming pole, lance of silver, chrome pipe fashioned from ice. I could trace its line down my torso with sharp pincers. I could reach through my ribs and rub out the freezing knife, staunch the blood, and walk out of the surgery immaculate. If I were a more accomplished magician. And that noxious message poured down my ears night after night, that fascist voice in which human tenderness, strength of will, superhuman courage is crushed, cooked, baked into a paste and thrown against the wall. I could cough it up from the base of my gut if I were a ventriloquist or an acrobat of plastic talents. But as it is, I speak. I argue, cast spells, concoct curses, conjure beasts. I run, leap, fly, lest the hot ember, the red stone asphyxiate my breath, lest I impale my lung on the infernal strife rusting like a blade in my chest, lest I take down one more child by the cut of my knife. Questions, Athena? I heard you came looking for me.
News travels.
What's up? The re-evaluation of revenge.
What's your take on it? You and Clytemnestra are the bad girls on the block. She has no regrets. What about you?
She out-generaled the general. She's got reason for her pride.
She enjoyed it so much. That's a turnoff for me.
What? The blood? She enjoyed the blood on her hands?
On her hands, on her gown, in her hair, in her mouth. Creeps me out.
Aren't you the goddess of war?
I'm strictly a defensive player.
What about the Trojan escapade? You sided with the Greeks, they attacked Troy?
It's like I'm on trial here.
It's just a question. It's a contradiction, right? No disrespect intended.
Violations of hospitality laws required action during that time. I made me a protectress of the cities that uphold my laws. I'm a law and order, just war advocate. Think of me as the Dennis Rodman of the Olympians, blocking shots and pulling down rebounds.
So you're not into war, you're not into love. You are not exactly a women's rights activist. What is it you wanted to talk to me regarding revenge? And it better not be my kids. I don't talk about my kids.
I want your particular take on revenge and violence. Are you still down with it? I mean, you outmaneuvered your father and you killed your stepbrother to help Jason. Wasn't revenge involved? I mean, you wanted to marry the guy and your father wouldn't let you, right?
When I didn't get my way back then, I tended to overreact.
In your lifetime, you killed 2 kings, 1 rival princess, your stepbrother, and 2 sons. You killed. You're a killer. But always for revenge when you were denied your wishes. Do you regret any of it? Killing your kids? For vengeance? Do you think that I should bring back revenge as a force marshaled by the Furies?
I told you already, my kids are off limits. But I'll level with you. I regret killing the kids, yes. Thing is, I knew I regretted when I did it, and I said so at the time. I regretted and suffered as I did it. I had 1 second of lording it over Jason, then an onslaught of pain. I knew I suffered for eternity for it, and I still did it. Would I do it if I had to do it all over again? I hope not. But it is who I was, and who I was is who I am. I wanted to be a woman you couldn't mess with no matter what.
I didn't have a mother. My father ate her. The whole protect the family thing is foreign to me.
Yeah, I didn't have a mother either. I never even saw her face. Maybe I was a lousy mother because I wasn't mother, but that sounds like an excuse, so I don't use it. About psychology, who needs it? I did what I did, I am what I am, I am suffering for it forever. That's baseball.
I like your use of sports metaphors.
They won't let me see my kids in the afterlife, you know?
They won't?
No, because kids killed by their mothers or fathers go to that special place between Mount Olympus and the Elysian Fields. No parents who commit atrocities against them are allowed to see them. You must know about it.
Not really. The afterlife's out of my jurisdiction.
Wrong children play in sunshine all day by a lake. They go swimming and boating whenever they want to. They eat ice cream and candy all night while sitting around the campfire listening to the muses telling spooky stories and eating s'mores. Doesn't that sound like kids' heaven?
You'd have to throw in an iPod right about now.
True. Anyway, that's where my sons are. But I lost the right to visit them when I butchered them. I haven't seen them since I cut them. It hurts to no end, but it's just punishment. I practice the art of accepting what I can't change every day. I picture them. The last time I saw them playing and sleeping, and I talk to them, and it helps me. I don't try to put them out of my mind like I did when I was alive. I fix them in my mind, and I hold them in my heart. I mean, death has changed me. They say near-death experiences have profound effects on humans. It's nothing compared to actually dying.
So, you do regret the revenge excess?
Hell yeah.
But do you think that the Furies should be allowed to make the judgment call on revenge? I mean, your kids had no avengers, and the Furies didn't come after you.
I was protected as a descendant of Helios, but my kids did have an avenger, their father Jason. But he was terrified of me, and he never loved him in anything but a sentimental way. That guy always took the easy way out. I saw it 1,000,000 times. The dude would have been a nobody except for me.
But do you think the Furies should be allowed to make the call, though? I mean, do you trust their judgment?
I am not into bloodbaths, contrary to popular belief, but some generic muscle to throw against the bullies would be nice. Plus, the Furies don't kill people, they drive them insane with guilt. Now is your chance to expand their power. Make a deal that you manage things with them. Add a repentance clause, or bring Hecate in on the case. If a trial by jury finds fairly, no need for interference. If not, let them go after whomsoever cheats justice. Aren't you the compromise queen?
You're a smart kid.
I was worshipped as a goddess after I died. God knows why.
You had it going on, girl.
I was in the cool hip power trip thing back then.
are attracted to power because they don't understand where it comes from. It's so ethereal, intangible, invisible, except in action, like love.
Look, I gotta go contact the Furies and give them the lowdown, and your suggestions have been insightful. How can I repay you, short of arranging for you to see your children?
Do that.
Only someone can grant that. There were plans to hang them.
I should have left it. Requiem. Have you ever recorded Ode Anybody? I know the version by heart.
Okay, yeah, that's enough.
Okay.